Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jaya Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radha Vrindavan Chandra Shri Radhe. Jaya Gopal Ji, Jaya Srinath Ji, Jaya Gopal Ji, Jaya Srinath Ji. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakacarya Ashtottar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ji Ki Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Samprada Acharya Guru Var Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Grantraj Shrimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Gaur Premanande. So today we will be serving Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam, and the verses that chronologically I've been told is 26 through 28, Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 7th chapter. I believe verse number 26 is displayed, but we will also be taking two more verses because either the purport is very short or there is none. So Upari adascha ye loka Bhumir mitramajasate Tesham samastham pramanam cha Bhuralokascha varnaya Upari adascha ye loka Bhumir mitra majasate Tesham samasta pramanam cha Bhuralokascha varnaya Upari adascha ye loka Bhumir mitra majasate Tesham samastam pramanam cha Bhurlokascha varnaya. Upari adascha ye loka Bhumir mitra majasate Tesham samastam pramanam cha Bhuralokascha varnaya. Anybody else, please? Upari adascha ye loka Bhumir mitra dupajate Tesham samastham pramanam cha bhura lokascha varnaya. Word to word meaning. Kindly repeat. Upari, on the head. Adaha, underneath. Cha, also. Ye, which. Lokaha, planets. Bhumehe, of the earth. Mitra Atmaja, O son of Mitra. Maitreya Muni. Asate, do exist. Tesham, there. Samastham, situation. Pramanam cha, also their measurement. Also their measurement. Bhu lokasya, of the earthly planets. Cha, also. Varnaya, please describe. Translation and purport by His Divine Guru Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. O son of Mitra, kindly describe how the planets are situated above the earth as well as underneath it, and also please mention their measurement as well as that of the earthly planets. There's a very short purport. Yasmin vigyate sarvam evam vigyatam bhavati, from Mukunda, quoted from Mukunda Upanishad 1.3. This Vedic hymn declares emphatically that the devotee of the Lord knows everything material and spiritual in relationship with the Lord. Devotees are not simply emotional, as is ill conceived by certain less intelligent men. Their direction is practical. They know everything that is and all the details of the Lord's domination over the different creations. We all can repeat the translation, please. O son of Mitra, kindly describe how the planets are situated above the earth as well as underneath it. And also, please mention their measurement as well as that of the earthly planets. The next verse, I will simply read the translation. Also, please describe the living beings under different classifications: subhumans, humans, those born of the embryo, those born of perspiration, those who are twice born, birds, and the planets and vegetables. Kindly describe their generations and subdivisions also. And the 28th verse. Please also describe the incarnations of the material modes of nature: Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar. And please describe the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His magnanimous activities. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Although Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar, the three incarnations of the material modes of nature, are the principal deities of creation, maintenance, and destruction of the cosmic manifestation, they are not final authority. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is the ultimate goal, the cause of all causes. He is the ashray, or the final rest of everything. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manoyabhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swarpadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha आजानुलंबित भुजौ कनकायवधातो संकीर्तनय पितरो कमलायताक्षो विश्वंभरो द्विजवरो युगधर्म पालो वंदे जगत प्रिय करो करुणा अवतारो नवनीरद निंदित कांति धरम रस सागर नागर भूप वरम शुभवंकी मचारु शिखंड शिकिम भज कृष्ण निधिम व्रज राज सुतम राधिका सरोद इंदु निंदि मुख मंडली वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानुनंदिनी वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानुनंदिनी वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानुनंदिनी यस्या प्रसादात् भगवत प्रसादो यस्य अप्रसादात् न गति कुतोपि दयांस्तुवांस यस्य स्त्री संध्याम वंदे गुरोः श्री चरणारविंदम. So in this particular chapter, just very briefly, so as we can all connect the wonderful questions that are asked by Vidur to Maitreya Muni. One of the things that we can all learn from Srimad Bhagavatam and even uh, scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, they are in the form of questions, good questions and answers. So, and especially any questions that not only benefit the one who is seeking an answer, but if it benefits all, that is really a wonderful service. And even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, uh, the speaker, uh, Sut Goswami, appreciates the questions that are asked for the benefit of mankind. And there are, this chapter itself is called Further Inquiries by Vidur. Who is Vidur? Vidur is the uh, brother of the blind king Dhritarashtra and also the brother of Vyasdev. So but because he was considered low born or Shudra, he did not have much value. Although he was very intelligent, and anybody who worships Krishna is considered intelligent. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned, Jai Bhaje Krishna, Shai Bado Chatur. One who worships Krishna is very, very clever. So, but unfortunately, when people are infatuated with their sense gratification, then good advice doesn't really bear much fruit. Although Vidur was a real well wisher of his own brother, he did not heed his advice and he was bent on the Mahabharat war by not returning the land that was rightfully owned by the Pandavas. And uh, Vidur was insulted to that extent very greatly by his own nephew, Duryodhan, who was very vicious. And at that point, he simply left Hastinapur, the capital. And when Mahabharata started, there are two personalities who left and did not take part. Do you know one? Of course, I mentioned is Vidur. Who is the other personality? Lord Balram. Yes. So it is said that whenever we are not able to do much in spite of meaning well, certain situations can arise in our own lives, even in a temple environment or in an office environment or many environments that we are accustomed to every day, which become a part of our life. And if good advice or good well meant uh, feelings, etc., are not respected, and if then one should simply leave. That is the best thing to do, and especially in the devotee community, rather than argue or uh, find fault with each other that will culminate into uh, offenses. So we should be very careful, and this is a lesson that we learn from Mahabharata, from the life of Vidur. And when he goes to the forest, uh, he leaves for further enlightenment. And how do you get further enlightenment in our lives? By meeting Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Uh, sadhus are the sadhus. What is that verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita? Sadhu Sangha, Sharva Shastra Koi, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Sadhu Sang. What does the word sadhu in Sanskrit mean? Sadhu means good. Good means one who knows the ultimate good. That is the actual meaning of the word sadhu. Uh, and Sangha means association. So that kind of association uh, one must take benefit of, that will give us eternal benefit. That is why it is known as also Sat Sang. Uh, Sat means, some people, when I ask this question, they say, what does Sat mean? Truth. But yes, truth is the secondary meaning. But the primary meaning of Sat is eternal. And that truth, which is eternal, is actually Sat. So, like Vyasdev also says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, very first verse, Satyam Param Dhimahi. I meditate upon that absolute truth. And who is that absolute truth? Nanda Nandan Krishna. He is the absolute truth. Absolute truth is Radha Krishna. Absolute truth is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Absolute truth is the love that Krishna displays for the Vrajvasis, and vice versa. And absolute truth is Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There are these 6 darshans of Srimad Bhagavatam, just in that line, Satyam Param Dhimahi. So, Vidurji, he sets off into the forest seeking association of the most wonderful sadhus, uh, the saintly personalities who are detached from the material world. And he comes across Maitreya Rishi. And he accepts Maitreya Rishi as a spiritual master. And when we accept somebody as a spiritual master, then we benefit from the kripa or the mercy that is bestowed. So he asks such questions such as, how is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Wonderful questions. I mean, just if we just concentrate on some of the questions in this chapter, they are amazing. And these are some of the questions that sometimes we, as practicing Vaishnavas, devotees, or persons, these questions come across in our minds as well. So the questions that he asked is, how is that the Supreme Lord, who he's connected with the material modes of nature and their activities. So if his pastimes, how do these activities that are unchangeable and they take place and exhibit qualities without the modes of material nature? In other words, that although Krishna is in control of everything, including the material world, so how is it that he is bereft of any influence of the modes of material nature? And how does he conduct the the uh, the activities? Uh, and then he gives a wonderful example in a question form, that boys are enthusiastic to play with each other, like children, they play with each other, and there are various diversions. They are either distracted or diversions because they are encouraged by desire. So if we see a child, few minutes, they'll be playing baseball. The next few minutes, they'll drop it. They'll go bicycling. The next few minutes, they're so fickle and frivolous. they will take some other, like football or some other game, and like this. So all this is the children are encouraged by desire. Vidurji says, but there is no possibility of such desire for the Lord, because He is self-satisfied. And we have heard that discussion between Sanatan Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I think it's the Madhya Leela 25th chapter, wherein the Atmaram verse, Atmaram means one who is completely self-satisfied. The Supreme Lord is Atmaram. So then why does He need our worship? Why does He need our bhoga? Why does He need all these offerings if He is fully satisfied? In other words, this is how what Vidur is trying to present. It is okay for children to have different desires, or even mortals like us, who are influenced by the modes of material nature. But the Supreme Lord is fully satisfied. He's Atmaram. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I believe he explains about 64 different meanings of the word Atmaram. They're amazing. That's a wonderful chapter to read, and it's a very, very high quality level of rasa that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu imparts to Sanatan Goswami about the Atmaram verse. So he basically is saying the Lord, He is self-satisfied and detached from everything at all times. So then what is the necessity of all these different creations and all these different activities? How then does He become engaged in knee science? Or basically he's talking about the soul. The pure soul is Satchitananda, pure consciousness, meaning we all are pure souls, actually speaking, right? And is never out of consciousness as long as we are eternal. The soul is eternal. So it is never out of consciousness. It's just a matter of changing bodies, but we are always conscious of something, either due to the circumstances, the time, the situation, even dreams, etc. So, how then does the soul who is pure become engaged in knee science or become contaminated? So, these are wonderful questions. Isn't it true that we have come across these questions time and again? And in different classes, we hear many different speakers explaining them. And then he's further saying that the Lord, who is also Paramatma or Super Soul, is situated in everybody's heart. True? Everybody agrees, right? Then why do the living entities, their activities result in misfortune and misery? So if the Supreme Lord is present in everybody's heart, so in other words, why does He allow such miseries and misfortunes in the lives of people? And we see that in this material world, it is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It is full of, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, it is full of dukkha, miseries. Alayam means ocean. It's an ocean of miseries. Ashashvata, and it is temporary by nature. So one should recognize these things. Krishna is explaining that in the Bhagavad Gita. So then Maitreya Muni starts answering those questions. He says that certainly conditioned souls, they put forward the theory of the Supreme Brahman, uh, of the personality of the Godhead is overcome by illusion, meaning the Mayavad theory. He starts with that. We all hear the word Mayavad, Mayavad, Mayavad. How many of you heard this word Mayavad? Please raise your hands. All of you. So, what is the understanding of a Mayavad? In a very, very simple way and in a concise understanding, Maya means illusion, and Vad means one who is actually discussing based on the understanding that an entity is covered by Maya. Vad means a discussion or an explanation. That is the meaning of the word Vad. And the Mayavadis, basically, they say their core principles are that this world, Brahma Satta Jagat Mittha. Brahma Satta means the spiritual soul or the spirit is real, and this ephemeral world is not real. And that's one of their understandings. And what they want to do is basically they always have that realization, which is actually a fault in their realization, that I am He, so I am the Supreme Brahman. And whenever the soul passes away from this body, and when it is perfected, it actually merges into the Supreme Brahman and becomes one with He or Him. And basically, there is no uh, attributes to the Supreme Brahman, such as it is Nirakar Nirgun. It doesn't have any shape, it doesn't have a form, it doesn't have any qualities. It is bereft of, it is simply a light or an energy or a realm where you get some peace. And they say, coming about this particular topic that has been discussed between Vidurji and Maitreya Muni, that when we are in this material world and when we see everything around us, for example, I see the devotees here, I see the deities, I see the temple and the surroundings around me, it is only due to illusion I'm seeing this. Actually, they do not exist. That is what they say. And that is what Maitreya Muni says, that these conditioned souls put forward this theory, the Mayavadi school of thought, that the Supreme Brahman or the personality of Godhead is overcome by illusion. So even if they see Krishna or they see Jagannath or they see Gopal Nathji or Narsinghadev or they see Lord Shiva or anybody, it is because it is we are illusion. They do not exist. It is a figment of our imagination. And once we are completely purified, then we will go beyond this dream state. So they call any kind of deity worship or any akar meaning form, is considered illusory. So therefore, Mayavadis do not worship any deities. Initially, they do the Pancha Upasana, uh, so that slowly you can go beyond the deity worship and then enter into the Brahman. So which is not advisable. And it is actually considered spiritual suicide. That is what the acharyas say. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Mayavadi Bhashya Sunila Hoy Sarvanash. If one hears the talk of a Mayavad, one will be doomed, will be completely doomed. And there are so many Mayavadis in India and many places all over the world who speak from the scriptures, like Bhagavad Gita, etc., but their interpretation is completely wrong. And that is one of the reasons Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, he gave us the biggest gift of everything as it is. Bhagavad Gita as it is. So this is very important that we understand, because the subject is there about the Mayavada, that Mayavada is there. And further, Maitreya Muni says he wants that at the same time they maintain that he is unconditioned. So Param Brahma is unconditioned. So if he is unconditioned, both these conditions cannot exist. Uh, it is this is against all logic, meaning that they are conditioned and therefore they are seeing illusory objects or illusory entities. And at the same time, if you are unconditioned, meaning if you reach that state of Mayavad, of Supreme Brahman, which according to them they're unconditioned, beyond the three modes of material nature, that how is it possible? It doesn't make sense. There is no logic. That's what Maitreya Muni, which is a very wonderful Vaishnava argument, we can say, against the Mayavad philosophy. And like this, he says the living entity is in distress regarding because why? The answer is that because of self identity. It's the self identity, and because of coming in contact with material nature, like a man who is dreaming that he sees his head cut off. Let's say in a dream, sometimes we see some horrible dreams or any dreams that are not realistic actually in nature. So that is the reason why, because of the influence of the modes of material nature, we see, just like if I'm wearing uh, red tinted glasses, I'll see everything red. If I wear blue, everything is blue. And because of the three modes of material nature, the jiva or the pure soul is contaminated. The misconception of the self identity can be diminished. How? Maitreya Muni says, by gradually, by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the process of bhakti, pure devotional service. Uh, and how can you perform pure devotional service? Simply, the best method that has been recommended, especially in this Kali Yuga, is chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. By simply Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing, uh, Shravanam, Kirtanam means glorifying or chanting the transcendental names. And then one can achieve the cessation of unlimited miserable conditions. And that is just a side effect. But the main effect of chanting the holy names and hearing the descriptions of the Supreme Lord will actually take us to our home, back to God in His eternal service. So Vidur, like this, Ji is saying that, oh, my powerful sage, all my doubts, now that the questions that I asked you earlier about how the soul gets contaminated, etc., and the theory of the Mayavads, my doubts have been eradicated about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities, and those have been removed. So similarly, can we remember one verse in the Bhagavad Gita that is exactly the same as what Vidurji is saying to his guru Maitreya Rishi? Arjun tells Krishna, Nashtamo Smriti Labda Tvat Prasadat Maya Achyuta Gata Sandeha Stito Asmi Karishye Vachanam Tava. Meaning, Nashtamo, all my illusion has been removed. Nashtamo Smriti Labda, and I have been established in my good intelligence. How? Tvat prasadad maya achyuta, by your mercy, O Krishna. One of the names of Krishna is Achyuta. Chutta means fallible, means one who can get captivated by the three modes of material nature. But Achutta means one who can never get controlled by the three modes of material nature, one who never falls down. Even if he comes down to this material plane, it is not considered fallen. That is why he is known as Achyuta. Advaitam Achyutam Anade Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navyauvanam Cha Brahma Samhita. So one of the names of Krishna is Achyuta. Like this, he has said that now that everything is done, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm confident that by serving your lotus feet, it will be possible for me to give up the false idea of this material conceptions. So this is what it is so important to accept a guru, to accept spiritual masters. It is just not that we have one spiritual master, our initiating spiritual master. Every morning we sing the Mangal Arti. And what is the line that keeps repeating in all those 8 verses? One day, one day, one day. It's not Guru. Vande Guru Ho Sri Charanarvinda. If we read it carefully, Guru Ho means plural. So I offer my obeisances unto all the gurus, all the acharyas. And gurus can be the ones who have introduced you to Krishna consciousness. Gurus can be the one who are guiding you in your spiritual life. Gurus are the ones who, of course, are the initiating spiritual masters, but they are not the all in all. As a matter of fact, our Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara is more based on Siksha Guru than more on Diksha Guru. If we look at the altar, who do we see? We see His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, His initiating spiritual master Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta was initiating spiritual master Srila Gaur Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj. And Srila Gaur Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj was not initiated by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He was his Siksha Guru. And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, the next personality we find on the altar that we worship every day is Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. He was not his initiating spiritual master. He was his Siksha Guru. So Siksha is very, very broad. Diksha Gurus, we may find that we may hardly meet them because they may be very busy traveling all over the world, etc. But we are most fortunate because we have so many Siksha Gurus, and we should accept. Just like in a family, especially in India, we call it joint family. Nowadays, even that is becoming obsolete. But in the younger days, we have seen that all the brothers stayed together. Then the grandfather, the father, and the uncles and aunts and cousins and all of them, huge family. And the love that was showered by the uncles to that one child or the children in the family, they got a lot of affection from all the family members. From all the family members. How fortunate. Similarly, those devotees are most fortunate when they can accept the affection of so many Vaishnavas, as long as they are in the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Guru Parampara, in that Rupanugas, we are all Rupanugas, followers of Rupa Goswami, then it is our good fortune that we are getting so much mercy. We are getting so much mercy rather than restricting ourselves with just one or two personalities. It is just wise to accept it as long as they are bona fide. That's the most important thing, so that we don't go astray. So that is why every morning we also sing Shri Guru Charana. We just sang that about 45 minutes ago. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Bando Mui Saudhana Mate. Jahara Prasade Bhai Bhavatoriya Jai Krishna Prapti Jaha Hoite. So the lotus feet of Shri Guru, which Vidurji is accepting, Kevala Bhakti Sadma. What is Keval Bhakti? Now, Keval can have two meanings. One is the Mayavad meaning, which is the undifferentiated Brahman, or the undifferentiated Brahman, which has no characteristics, no shape, no form. That is Keval. But again, Sanskrit is so amazing that there are more than one meanings, and the perfect meaning is only revealed in the hearts of the Vaishnavas, for the pure. So here the word Keval used by Narottam Das Thakur is only exclusive seva to Radha and Krishna. This is because who has composed this song? A great Gaudiya Vaishnava in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what is Keval Bhakti? Our Bhakti is not just like Mirabai, that we only worship Krishna alone, or so many different paramparas, they only like to worship Krishna. But for us, no, it's Radha Krishna. Because if there is no Radha Krishna, there is no Mahaprabhu. And most of them who worship just Krishna, they do not accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Try to understand this, please, this concept of that is called Kevala Bhakti. There's a lot of, just in that one word, there are a lot of secrets, Gaudiya secrets. Keval Bhakti, and not only Radha Krishna, but his associates. So that is Keval Bhakti, exclusive Bhakti to Radha and Krishna along with their most intimate associates. That is Keval Bhakti, and that has been offered, that can be received, and that can, as mercy, come from our Gaudiya Acharyas. Kevala Bhakti, Bando Mui Saudhana Mate. Please don't take this lightly. That's what Narottam Das Thakur is saying. Saudhan, Guru is not an ordinary person. So like this, he says, he accepts him as a Guru, and he accepts the instructions. And he says that by serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy, pure bhakti of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, coming back to the basics, we sing that every day. What is that? Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado Yasya aprasadan nagati kutopi dayanstu vamstasya yashastri sandhyam vande guru shri charidarvindam. After that, he is further inquiring about the creation itself and how did the creation happen? How did the material world come into existence? The Mahattatva, which is the aggregate ingredients of all the material elements, they were manifest by this gigantic universal form of the Supreme